Welcome to MCN, and today we're riding Honda's new CB1000 Hornet SP. Now this is a bike with a 155 bhp Fireblade engine. It's got Stylimer Brembos, it's got an Öhlins rear shock, and you can have all of that for £9,999, which is fantastic value. But that's all very well, but the big question is it any good? Well, let's find out. Right, we've had a couple of hours under our belt already. A bit of a coffee stop here, playing on the swings. Let's run you through some of the things that makes this Hornet SP tick. So, as we said at the beginning, the engine's got 155 bhp and the SP's got an exhaust valve inside. And that gives it an extra 5 bhp over the standard Hornet. So the standard Hornet's 150 and this one's 155. So this is the motor that originally lived in the 2017 Fireblade, and Honda have basically taken some of the power from the top and put it into the mid-range. It's also got shorter second to fifth gears, just to give it a bit more oomph. So the whole engine is designed to give more real-world acceleration. And that engine is housed in a brand new chassis. So this isn't the same chassis as the old CB1000R. It's its own chassis, it's its own swing arm. And before it had a spine frame, but now it's got this steel twin spar frame. And that's yielded a couple of advantages. So the first of all is it's got a lot more lateral flex now than the old spine, 70% more lateral flex. And it's also allowed to put Honda to put the airbox above the engine, so you get a better downdraft scenario for the air. And the weight distribution, it's front heavy, so the engine, the battery, the shock, the airbox is all forward mounted to put the weight more on the bike's nose by about 51% front, about 49 rear, roughly speaking. All the styling's new, based on the Hornet family, which incorporates the CB500 Hornet, the CB750 Hornet, and now this 1000. So, did anyone say Ducati Street Fighter? But it's got these projector headlights and quite minimalist styling, but it's really, really good. The wheels, the design of the wheels is the same as the CBR1000 RRR Fireblade. So they're new. They're shod with a 180 rear. They've chosen a 180 for agility rather than a 190, which you'd expect on a 1000. And they'll either come with Dunlop Road Sport 2s or Bridgestone S22s, OE spec. And the forks on the standard Hornet and the SP are the same shower forks, fully adjustable. And we've got lots of electronics. We've got a lovely 5-inch colour TFT, which has got all the connectivity on it. We've got traction control, which incorporates wheelie control, rider modes, electronic engine braking control, ABS, the whole kit and caboodle. Seat height's quite low, 809 millimetres, and it sounds great as well. It sounds like a race bike. It's incredible. So let's talk about those SP goodies. So the SP version's £1,000 more expensive than the base bike. Base bike's $8,999, which is even better value. But this SP has got a few bells and whistles. So you've got a 3-way adjustable up and down quick shifter as standard. You've got Brembo Stylimer calipers, and they were first seen on the 2018 Ducati Panigale V4S. And at the back is an Öhlins TTX36 shock, fully adjustable, and Honda worked closely with Öhlins engineers to create just the right setting for this bike. One of the great things about being on a launch is that you've got the people here who've made the bikes. We've got a lot of Japanese Honda technicians, and they've just pointed out a couple of funky little details actually. On the face of it, this bike seems pretty normal, doesn't it? But there's lots of attention to detail. So these little holes in the wheel spokes, they're a specific size to give just the right amount of flex and strength. just like you hear about, you know, frames being more flexible and to give more feel when at lean. It all starts with the tyres and the wheels. Then you've got in here, if you can see, but there's some little vents here, which Honda, when they were testing, used to just scribe into that plastic with Stanley knives to get the right amount of airflow into the airbox. And then here, the engine mount. So this bracket, they tried all different thicknesses of bracket for feel and flex. And also the first evolutions of these when they were testing had a solid engine mount, and now it's got a hole in it. And the test riders can feel the difference between having a hole or not in terms of front end feel. And that's the kind of level of detail that goes into these bikes. Astonishing. So the question we asked at the beginning of this video was, although the Hornet's great value and it's got all these bells and whistles, is it actually any good to ride? Well, the answer is an emphatic absolutely. It is an absolutely fantastic bike. Now, before I just sort of go on and wax lyrical, I don't want to get too carried away with myself, because if you were to ride the new Hornet back to back with some of the super naked royalty like the KTM 1390 Super Duke R Evo or the Ducati Street Fighter V4S, BMW M1000R or Aprilia Tuono V4 Factory, you would find that those kind of exotic super nakeds have got a little bit more power, a little bit more refinement, a little bit more luxury. But in terms of pure riding enjoyment, the Honda equals them all easily. I mean, when you jump on the Hornet, it's just like any Honda. It's like any other Hornet. It's like any other CB500 Hornet, CB750 Hornet. It's just very, very easy to ride. It's typical Honda. So you jump on, it weighs 212 kilos, wet, full of fuel, but it doesn't feel heavy. It's really light to bat between your legs. The seat's nice and low, 806mm seat height, but it's quite roomy. I spent all day on the bike and never felt any aches or pains, no wrist ache, nothing, no knee crunching. All the controls are really nice and light, the throttle's light, just everything is so easy, so typical Honda. It's a bike so simple to ride, you could easily do your CBT on it, but make no mistake, this is a potent performance bike. The engine is a retuned Fireblade engine, as we said, 155 bhp. I mean, we've become a bit desensitized to power figures nowadays, haven't we? We always see these 200 bhp power figures, and you'd look at the Hornet's 155 and you might even sneer at it. But just think, 155 bhp is only 5 less than the GSX-R1000 K1 had in 2001. And I think we can all agree that that thing was an absolute rocket ship, and the Honda Hornet is no different. So it's got a lot of easy to manage torque. Like Honda have said, they're giving it more mid-range, and you don't really need to be too fussy as to what gear you're in. It'll pull out of corners a gear higher. The throttle response is slightly snatchy, but nothing to ruin your day. The soundtrack is just a sonic treat. It sounds like an inline-4 race engine, especially when the exhaust valve opens at 5,700 revs. Put it this way, it's very, very fast. The wheelie control has its work cut out in the first 3 gears to control the wheelies. If you turn the wheelie control off, it doesn't control the wheelies. That's down to the rider. And although it's a very childish pursuit, wheelies, it can actually tell you a lot about an engine and the balance of the bike. So, you know, when you're wheeling, the bike's very balanced, the power's very manageable, the gears are nice and smooth, and it's very, very easy to control. I'm sure that on track, a pucker super naked with more power would probably show the Hornet a clean pair of heels. But on the road, you can't use 155 bhp, you can't even use 100. So that Honda Hornet would stick with a super naked that cost double. just like the CB750 Hornet we rode a few years ago. One of the things that kind of stuck out on that bike immediately was how fast steering it was. And the new Hornet 1000 is no different. It's very, very agile. It takes no effort to get into the corners. It holds a beautiful line. But you'd think with such kind of, it's got a very short wheelbase, or it's very front heavy, as we said earlier. And you'd think with such kind of racy chassis geometry, it would be quite unstable, but nothing could be further from the truth. There's no steering damper on it, and you think Honda would put a steering damper on it if it needed to, but really flatters the rider. It's really easy to ride. The Öhlins rear shock just gives it a nice little plushness, a control over bumps. The fully adjustable shower forks, well, it was so kind of good out the crate, you never needed to adjust it. The tyres had loads of grip for OE spec tyres, we'll come on to those in a little bit. Loads of ground clearance and loads of braking power from the Brembos, loads of feel. It's got ABS but not cornering ABS, hasn't got cornering traction control either, but to be honest, you never ever miss that. It's just a very easy, very fast, very exciting bike to ride. To live with a new Hornet should be a piece of cake. The build quality out the crate is fantastic. I really love that satin black colour scheme and the gold wheels. It's too early to say how durable it will be over time, but if you have a look at MCN's online owners reviews of the 2017 Fireblade, because that's where the engine comes from, nothing but good things to be said about that. Obviously that 17 blade had these kind of unfair criticisms of gearbox problems back in the day, which was kind of compounded by what happened with the race bikes, which didn't use the standard gearbox anyway. But one of the gearbox is one of the best things about this Hornet, you know, especially with the up and down quick shifter. It's very smooth. So you should have no problem with the engine. You should have no problem with the electronics. These have been tried and tested over the last few years and there's no reports of any problems there. And the same goes with the chassis components. If you look at the reviews for the old CB1000R, nothing but good. There's a few little complaints about thin paintwork in some areas, but overall the Honda should do what Hondas do best and last you a very long time. There are a few tiny cons. So, like I said before, the fueling isn't as glassy smooth as, say, a proper Super Naked. You know, if you jump on a Street Fighter, for example, that initial throttle pickup is very soft, and it's a little bit more spiky on the Honda. But like I said before, not a problem at all. Tyres, like all OE fitment tyres, these are good. They're safe, they're grippy. But if you were to put some new generation replacement sports tyres on the bike, it would just give you an extra layer of plushness, an extra layer of reassurance and confidence. But there's nothing wrong with the OE tyres on this, so I wouldn't take them off the bike straight away, but when it is time to change you will notice an improvement. And finally, it's got all the bells and whistles, but the only thing missing really is cruise control. Now, cruise control isn't really that important, but you know, on today's roads with so many speed limits, cruise control is really useful for keeping your speed down. And also on a naked bike, when you're cruising on motorways and you've got a lot of wind trying to pull you off the back of the bike, you know, you're hanging onto the bars all the time, and sometimes having cruise control is nice just so you can shake your hand free. But other than that, the Honda's really well equipped. So to sum up, the new CB1000 Hornet SP is a class act, and that's even before you've even considered the price. You know, it does everything a Super Naked can do in terms of, you know, enjoyment and excitement when you're riding. It's got that kind of luxurious feel with the Öhlins and the Brembos and that really lovely paint job. You've got all of those electronics, it's very easy to ride. It's just a fantastic naked, sports naked. But I think really Honda have to be saluted for creating a bike that is so affordable, you know, especially in a world where performance bikes, and I'd very much put the Hornet in a performance bike category, are becoming ever more expensive, they're becoming less attainable, less achievable. And you know, Honda have given you all of this excitement and performance and just loveliness for literally half the price of some of its Super Naked competition. And I think that is a huge breath of fresh air. So well done, Honda. So that is the end of our review for the Honda Hornet. It's been a fantastic bike. It's been a great surprise. Before this test, I really thought I knew what I was going to get. You know, I just thought it was going to be another naked sports bike, Japanese sports bike in the same vein as the old CB1000R or a GSX 1000. You know, very good but not remarkable. But really, the Honda has really blown me away, and that's a really nice thing to happen nowadays. So thanks very much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please stay tuned for more coming soon.